Okay, today is December 16th. This is test flight number 9. A great day, very clear, hardly any wind. It's in the mid to high 50s. Just a really great day compared to last week where we had our sub-freezing temperatures. Some adjustments to the intercom and mic settings on the MGL radio. So I'm going to test that in flight. And if it's nice and smooth, we'll go up and do another ASI calibration run and maybe a little bit of sawtooth climb series. Just to make sure, well, maybe. Just to make sure we got good, accurate data. I'd like to do some descent. I'll probably pull that off of the data log. That'll help on my my landing configurations. I still need to do an adjustment to the air injector needle. I have not done that yet. Next time I have the cowl off, after this flight probably, I'll probably lean it out just a smidge. I want to find the point where I'm happy with the mixture at the full throttle setting. There's no need to do that too quickly. I'll just sneak up on it. I can always lean manually. But I can't enrich any more than that. So I'll sneak up on what I feel is a good full throttle mixture setting, and then I'll mark and measure the needle at that point. And then I'll do some ground tuning to set the idle mixture, and mark and measure that. And then those thicknesses I can correlate into a needle slope. And I can make a determination whether I need to change to a slope at a greater slope, or get out my needle and start reprofiling it myself to change the slope. So that'll all be happening in the next couple of flights. Last time I did a timed climb and got some good data there. So I'm going to want to do another similar time climb to get more data and to confirm the initial test run. I think the data was pretty good, but I always like to have a couple of data sets from different days and conditions, help average out any kind of errors that I'm introducing. And I still need to do all of my gross weight testing. I'm not quite ready to start adding ballast yet, but when I do, I'll repeat those same tests at a gross weight. That'll help me fill in the rest of my performance tables. Okay, the sock is just kind of fluttering a bit, maybe 2 or 3, maybe gusting up to 4 miles an hour, maybe. Alright, the CHTs are all in the green. Oil pressure's good, oil temp is at 80. Well, I'm sure it'll come up. Everything else looks pretty good. Set the altimeter here, 3018. Got the outside air temperature gauge, and I'm going to be comparing the readings to what I get on the skin temperature, which is the best I can do at this point for outside air temp. Right now it's reading high, it's reading 72 degrees, and I know that's not right. It's not even 60 degrees outside, and I'm reading 47 on the dynon. So we'll check that a couple of times in flight and see how it does. All right, let's do a run up here, make a radio call, and we'll head on out. about 75. It's about 50 to 70 maybe. Alright, run up's good. Set the fuel. Topped off for today's flight. Alright. We're going to be taking off to the south, using runway 17 right, the paved runway. I don't hear anybody. I don't see anybody. I think we're ready to go fly. Springs East traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, departing 17 right, Springs East. That thunk is the tail wheel going over the run-up pad. Dirt taxiway with a concrete run-up pad. When it goes up, it kind of thunks its way up over it. Alright, canopy's locked, seatbelt's tight, GoPro's recording, brakes are off, flaps are up, mixture's on, put a full rich, and here we go. Airspeed's coming alive. Got a bit of a swerve right there at the get ready to take off. That was kind of exciting for a second. Kind of just jabbed the power in. As soon as the tail came off, it kind of gave me a bit of a swerve. So I had to get on it and correct. It's a really narrow runway. It's only, it's like 21 feet wide or something like that. So there's not a whole lot of room to do any kind of excursions. I'm continuing to see 3,500 RPM on climb out. So my normal practice has been to reduce power just a bit to get it below 3,400. And then I'm climbing out somewhere in the 3,300 to 3,400 RPM at a slightly reduced throttle. Bring the power back a little bit. EGTs are looking good. I was sitting right in about the 1300s on climb out. As soon as I throttle back just a bit, they drop.
Colorado Springs East traffic. Ringles 121 Golf X-ray is now 4 miles south. Been over flight field at 7,500.
Springs East traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike is currently making a downwind departure to the north. There shouldn't be any factor for this traffic approaching Springs East. The fact that the EGTs come down almost immediately when they back the power off, again, suggests that the needle profile is off. If I was on a good slope, I would see consistent EGTs all the way across the range. But the fact that I bring it back means that it's running rich just a little bit past. I don't think I really want to lead anymore on climb out, not this early. I'm seeing full power EGTs that are a little bit high, according to the Jaguar book of 12s. I'm seeing right at the high 12s. One cylinder just hitting 13. Well, I'm at 8,500, and that sounds like a good altitude to go do some tests at. I'm leaned out about an inch and running 3,000 RPM, sitting in the high 12s, low 13s.
Colorado Springs traffic, Colorado Springs east traffic. Rainbows 1 Golf X-rays turn to the left 45 landing runway 17 right.
Benton County, 66 Mike, inbound for 26. About 4 miles out to the south.
Colorado Springs east traffic. Rainbows 1 Golf X-ray is on the left downwind runway 17 right.
Benton County, we're on base for 2666 Mike.
Colorado Springs east traffic. Rainbows 1 Golf X-ray is on the left base runway 17 right. Colorado Springs east. Colorado Springs east traffic. Rainbows 1 Golf X-rays turning final now runway 17 right.
Benton County, 66 Mike's final, 26.
on my ASI speed run. I've got 2 of my headings. Turning to my 3rd one now. And I'm using the same indicated airspeed, holding a consistent altitude. Let it fly long enough to get stabilized on altitude, on speed. So my heading stabilize. And then record my magnetic heading and ground speed. Okay, so I got my three data points. I'll take that back and plug it in and see how that confirms. How that correlates to the previous test. So far, the previous test only showed a difference of just a couple miles an hour in the error in the Dynon ASI. So that's pretty good. Should have been enough time to let my temperature probe stabilize. Oh, let me open up the vent here. I've noticed with the vent, with the eyeball part closed, you don't get the same free-flowing outside air through the vent system. But it tends to make the vent read just a bit warmer as the heat from the cockpit kind of slowly warms up the air inside the vent tube. When it's really cold out, the effect was 3 or 4 degrees. I've opened it and I've dropped 1 degree. So I might get maybe 2 degrees. Alright, I'm reading 48 on the external, 44 on the internal. Which means I'm actually reading too cold by about 3 degrees. I'm going to take out some of the correction that I plugged in. Alright, I think that's pretty close. Okay, so I've kind of played with the outside air temp correction a couple of times. We're going to call it at about a correction factor of about 4 degrees. Meaning that the probe is picking up air temperature that's about 4 degrees warmer than I think the actual outside air temperature. Going to bring the power back to a little bit lower cruise setting. I got the mixture pulled pretty far back. Well, I don't have a sawtooth climb data sheet. I didn't think I did, but I thought maybe I would. I think I finally got my slip ball pretty well where I like it. At a cruise power setting, pretty close to where it needs to be. Maybe just a hair more right rudder. I take my feet completely off the rudders. If I just rest them, I can put just a little bit more pressure on the right foot, and it brings it into alignment. So I'm pretty close, I think. At full power, it still takes a heap of right rudder. Alrighty, I think I want to do a full power, full throttle, level, static RPM, or in-flight RPM check and see what I'm going to turn up once the engine has a chance to unwind. Okay, I'm reading 3540, 3530, 3550. All right. Okay, so we're going to call it 3,500 on climb out and about 3,550 or so straight and level. We'll have to check with Jabu and see what they recommend. But it seems to me, based on what the book publishes, that I could probably use a little more pitch in this prop. What I don't know is what they'll say the effect of this density altitude. There's a possibility they may just recommend leaving it and managing the throttle to keep from overspeed. Seeing as how even in the wintertime, I've got 1,000 plus feet of density altitude tacked on to an already 6,000 plus foot elevation. I get to 9,000 or 10,000 foot density altitude just in nothing flat. We got Bullseye Auxiliary Airfield over here to my left-hand side. It's a practice airfield that I think the Air Force Academy uses. Interesting, that came up today in conversation. The Air Force called us at Carson and asked if the aviation guys at Fort Carson were coming out here and using it. I didn't know the answer. But from what I've seen, I don't think anybody's using it. I've never seen anybody out here. One time I saw the ground crew out here cutting the grass, and that's the only activity I've ever seen. So I don't know how much they're using it. I think we're going to go do a flyby. Do a practice approach. We won't land. Then I think we're going to head on back. I didn't see anybody home. East traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, 4 miles southeast. We'll be entering on a 45 for downwind, 17 right, Springs East. Springs east traffic, Sonex 604 Charlie Mike, downwind for 17 right, Springs east. Well, nobody out on the runway. Don't see or hear anybody in the pattern. Alrighty. Another good flight. want to download my data log here before I shut down. Give the engine a chance to cool down also. Alright, that's done.